everyone, today we're going to be doing Rhinestone Flower Art. Thanks to everyone that picked up their kit. We're going to go over all our materials. So go ahead and grab everything, get it laid out, and then we'll go step by step with our project. Here's our beautiful flower project today. Should be super simple since we have a stencil. All right, so go ahead and grab everything and we'll get going. All right, so I sent home a little 6x8 canvas here. And then I have these flower templates we made with the Cricut. So we're gonna be peeling this and carefully applying it onto our canvas. We're gonna be painting it. And then after the paint dries, we're gonna use our handy little glue here, which has a nice fine tip, you probably noticed if you opened it, to grab our rhinestones and attach them to our flowers. So that makes it really easy, so you're not dropping them and having them stick everywhere. So I sent home the stencil, the canvas, the little glue stick for you to keep. If you really enjoy this project, the rhinestones can be purchased at any craft store. And you could totally bedazzle plenty of things. You know, I just did the outline here, but if you got really into it, you could cover your entire painting. A lot of people do. That's like a kind of a trending project right now. And then, yeah, your bag of rhinestones, I gave everyone an array, and you know, depending on what color you're working with, anything kind of works. I gave some clear and some golds and some other colors, but they all kind of are translucent enough that they look nice with each color. And then I gave you each about 10 colors of paint to choose from. So everybody's project will probably come out a little different. Even today, I think I'm gonna go with different colors than the pink and the blue that I originally chose. But yeah, everybody should have gotten white, which will be nice to be able to blend. I'll show you a close up, get a little texture here on our flowers, like white and whatever color you're using. Same thing with the leaves here. I used a little white with the green to kind of give it two-tone. So yeah, so grab some paintbrushes, maybe some smaller ones, just so, you know, a couple of these areas are a little detailed. We don't want to get too big of a brush for that. And definitely grab a water cup and maybe a paper towel. And if you so choose, you could grab a plate if you want to do a little blending of your colors. Otherwise, you can just grab right from the little palettes that I sent home. Okay, so go ahead and set up your station and we'll get started. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna grab our Cricut stencil. We're gonna turn it over and we're gonna take off this grid portion, and it'll leave the blue stencil on our other grid side. So just be careful when you're peeling it that none of the sections come up with it. Sometimes like laying it flat and kind of peeling it slowly like this helps. All right, excellent. Now just be careful. Some of you, I over trimmed some of the edges, so when you're putting it down on your canvas, try and just maybe even stand up so you can get it as centered as possible on there. Let's see here. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact. All right, that should be good. I'm gonna smooth that on very well. Really push it down. And if you have something to push it down with, to really flat, like a credit card or something to really push it down. That way it won't come up when we take off this next portion. So then we're gonna be peeling our second piece of grid now, and then that will leave the stencil on our canvas. And again, super careful. I kind of like to just go slowly with this, just in case any of the stencil wants to be stubborn and try to come up. Okay. All right, perfect. Yeah, so I chose a couple different colors for this one, just so I don't have two of the exact same color paintings. So I'm gonna grab just a nice small brush here, and I'm just gonna start painting my flowers. All right. So leave the little centers on. We're gonna peel those off later and fill those with the yellow center. Okay. So for now, maybe I'll just put down like a solid layer. And the beauty of the stencil is you don't have to be perfect in the lines, because we're gonna peel the stencil away later and it's gonna look perfect. Okay, so I'll do like a base layer here of purple maybe. And then when I do a second coat, I'll blend in some whites to get a little bit of texture and variety in the color. And like I said, you don't have to do, you have all kinds of paints, so maybe each flower is a different color for you. That's totally fine. Or if you have a specific theme you're going with, you should have plenty of paint colors to do that. They might look a little different than the colors I'm using, because they were just like pre-filled paint packs. All right, so I got a nice base color here, and then maybe I'll do this one too in purple. And again, I get to be nice and sloppy because the stencil, it's on there nice and tight. Alright, so right now I'm just doing each of my flowers solid, and then I'm gonna go back in with some variety of color in a second. Alright. So go ahead and paint each of your colors, each of your flowers a solid color, and then we'll get back together. Alright, so I decided to make one of my flowers yellow. So as you can see, I have a little variety here of color. So while we let the first coat dry, maybe we'll work on our leaves. So this is where it might be a good time to have a plate just to do a little blending, because this green is like really dark on its own. So if you kind of make yourself a little pile of like the light green and the dark green, gets that nice color here, and we can kind of do the leaves two-tone. Alright, got a little pile here. Alright. Kind of like gonna paint half of each of the leaf the lighter green. Okay, maybe even a little lighter. Keep blending here. Alright. This will also leave like a nice little spot to put our rhinestones down the middle. Okay. Doesn't have to be exact. Oh, it's kind of coming out the same color as my top flower. Whoops. That's okay. Nothing too exact, because we'll go over it with another layer. Just being a little careful on some of these edges that are tight. Okay, so just lighten this up a little. And then I'm going to take the like just plain darker green and do the whole stem. I still have like a little white on my brush, that's okay. Give it that nice vibrant green. And I'm going to do the other side of each leaf. So they're kind of two-tone. And when we're finishing up like our second coat, we can polish this up a little bit. And then when we take our stencil off, you might look at it and you want to spruce up a couple areas. That's fine too. Okay. This side here. It's fun working with a stencil, no stress. All right. Okay, and then I want up here, do a little darker. It's right next to that turquoise, which is a little too similar for my liking, but that's okay. Maybe I'll try and mix some white in there and lighten it up for the second coat. It's more of a light green flower. Finishing up these stems. Just be careful where the colors meet. All right, so let's let our first layer dry a little bit, and then we'll go back in and add some more texture, and then we'll be starting on our rhinestones. All right, so I'm gonna do a second coat here. For the yellow, I'm just gonna kind of add like a little like white to each petal, just to give it, you could even have like a dab of yellow in there, but the yellow is already so light that you don't need too much of a difference there. And then a smaller brush will just give you ability to kind of get some nice like texture there. See, I'm kind of doing it in like wisps. Okay, that's good. Purple especially needs a second coat. For some reason, purple always does. And then here. All right, so that's just a nice little texture there. So let's go to our purple. All right, so this is how mine looks now. I'm just gonna let it dry fully before I peel off our stencil. But I got some nice kind of color combinations in my leaves and my flower petals. So when we peel off the stencil, we'll also be taking off the center, and then we can fill it with a different color for each flower bud. And then after that, we'll start rhinestoning away. All right, so just let it dry for a few minutes and then we'll peel it off together. Okay, mine's pretty much dry, so it's time for the big reveal. So we're just gonna peel off our stencil. And if any of the edges got a tiny bit smudgy, we can just touch them up ourselves. Okay. Voila! Super pretty. And then very carefully, we're gonna peel off the centers here. Each flower. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Excellent. So far, so good. All right. Amazing. Okay, so since I have a yellow flower, I'll do like maybe a purple inside for that one. I think that'll look pretty. So just be careful, the stencil's gone now, so you have to use your own steady hand. I'm actually gonna grab a smaller brush because, okay. All right. And then I'll probably do yellow for the other ones. Just because that'll look nice. Okay, cute. Let's see. I have yellow. Oh, perfect. And when you're choosing your gems to put over the yellow, it's like any color will pretty much work. As long as it's not too dark. I think I gave you plenty of gems, but if you need more, you can give me a buzz. Obviously, I still have some. I wasn't sure how many it was going to use for this project, but I think I gave you plenty. All right, so we let the centers of the flowers dry. Your gems are all in a bag, so maybe you want to separate them by color a little bit, make it easier for yourself. I'm lucky that mine are still separated here, so I can kind of pick and choose. But you'll see when we're doing this, so just open up your little glue, and it's super fine point. So you could even just squeeze a tiny bit of glue out just to get it started. And then I was literally just picking up the gems with the glue, just like this. So you got one here. And then just putting it down basically, and then squeezing a little more out. And then just press it down. So I just did like a little outline of each flower. Okay. So I got a couple different turquoises here to choose from, so I could kind of go back and forth. I didn't have mine touching, I had like little spaces in between, which I think are fine for this. Still plenty of bedazzle. All right, so that's really it. If you get your, your rhinestones in little piles and you just want to like pick them up with the glue, just need a tiny dab on there. You'll have tons of glue left over after this. And that's pretty much it. And like I said, any color really goes with anything because they're all so sparkly. So go ahead and just start basically outlining each flower. And if you have extra rhinestones and you want to make them closer together, you can. Really, there's no right or wrong on this project. All right. So it'll be a 1,000,000-hour video if you watch me do this entire process. So I think once you get the hang of it, you won't need me anymore. I'm kind of like pressing them down here. Super pretty. All right, so start rhinestoning and then we'll get back together. All right, so I got a couple of blue petals done there, super cute. And the glue has a little odor, but you see it dries nice and clear and nice and quick. All right, so what I did for the center of the flowers, I basically just did like a little cluster of gems, you can see. So go ahead and pick up a couple here. And then just plop them right down. You could even put like a little pile of glue for this portion of it. Okay. Just got a couple, and any color would work for this. Clear, yellow, there's like a peach one that some of you got. So you got a definitely variety of colors. So I'm just kind of plopping them on the center there. Maybe like, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 for the center of the flowers so it really pops. Like I said, I'm gonna put a little clump of glue there just to make my life easier. You might get a little sticky with the gems, but the glue comes right off. All right. Ooh, come on. There we go. And one more. Okay. Super cute. All right, so keep rolling along. And that's pretty much the process. I would just say outline all of the petals and do the centers. And then for the flower stems, the leaves, I just put it like a little line in the middle there. Oh, one of mine just came loose. And that way, you know, it's not as much work outlining each leaf. It kind of just makes them pop. All right, well, I hope you had fun with this project today. I would love to see your finished masterpieces. If you want to email me at nikki@portcheflibrary.org. I look forward to seeing it. I'll see you at the next class. Have a good day.